Okay, so we'll go over your syllabus, Canvas, as well as signing up for Pearson today as well. Um, and so for the people that haven't done that yet today or haven't done that yet, um, we're gonna go over that today as well. So obviously this is Math 103, Math 103, Trigonometry. We typically meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 in case we ever get back to an in-class um, face-to-face lecture. But that is also the time when the live lectures are going to happen. Keep in mind, though, that the lectures are not always 2 hours and 20 minutes long. We are going to have a sort of a break in the middle, but at the same time, you are going to have sort of supposedly in-class activities. Right, that's something that we should have done in class. Um, will have to be done obviously online, and so that's why your lectures are not going to always be 2 hours long, right? So they're going to be a few minutes or about 30 minutes or 40 minutes short, depending on how many class activities you're going to have to do for that particular day, right? And so just keep that in mind. It's not always 2 hours long. Um, so I think today we're only going over one section because you have an activity on Canvas that you need to do that sort of replaces quote unquote attendance for today, right? So um, because not everyone can actually show up right now at 10 o'clock for the live lecture. So let's go over your syllabus. So my name is Renard Piamonte. Mr. Piamonte is fine. Renard's fine as well. The best way to contact me is to use my Cal Poly email, which is my first initial, my middle initial, and then my last name at cpp.edu. You can use the Crafton email as well. It actually gets forwarded to the same one, so it will just go to the same email address regardless. And so just make sure if you need to contact me, that's the best way to do that. Um, Obviously online, right? So we do have office hours Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 a.m. to essentially 10 a.m. But I will not make the Zoom sort of active at that time. So if you have any questions first, because I don't want to sort of overcrowd the Zoom servers during office hours. So first thing you want to do is just email me. So maybe I can answer the question using email. But if we need to sort of see sort of face to face, then we can use Zoom um, in case we actually need it. Okay, so just for office hours, it is from 9 to 10 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But email me first, right? So just email me whatever you need to ask. And then if we need to sort of meet, then we can use Zoom to do so, right? Questions on that? All right, so now materials needed. And so you're gonna need a textbook, obviously. There's a couple of ways to get your textbook. So either you buy the textbook that has the access code for your Pearson on it, or just buy the access code itself, and then you'll have um, an online copy of your text. Some of you have taken Math 102 before, and so if you have taken it before, you can use the same code that you had um, for that Math 102 class for this Math 103 class because they are using the same textbook. Now, keep in mind though that if you did buy the 18-week access code, um, and if it's past the 18 weeks, then you obviously cannot use that on here. So you're gonna have to use or buy a new one. Now, as far as what you need to buy, you can certainly buy it at the bookstore, although I don't know if the bookstore is open. But there is a way to buy it online, and we're gonna see that when we actually try to sign up for your Pearson today. Okay, so we'll have time to actually go over the whole about thing about the textbook um, online. Now, as far as other materials, you're going to need a notebook for your notes, right? So, especially if you're going to watch the live lectures or the lectures that are on Pearson, you do obviously need to take notes. Um, so, you're going to need a notebook for your notes and a separate notebook for your homework, right? So, you want to show your work on your homework. Um, so try to use either a separate notebook or just use a pad paper or a binder paper. It's depending on what you used before. So use that for your homework to show your work. A scientific calculator is required for this class, right? So make sure it has the sine, cosine, tangent buttons on them, because obviously that's what we're going to be using in this class. So scientific calculator is going to be required, and then a scanner app. And so the scanner app allows you to convert pictures into PDFs, right? So this would be um, essentially how you're going to turn in some parts of your test into PDF, right? So you take picture of it using the app, and then the app will convert that picture into a PDF form. And so the one I use on my iPhone is Clear Scanner. Okay, and so let me show you that one real quick. So here's Clear Scanner. Okay, and so notice I already have some stuff on there, some notes from previous classes. But essentially, right here at the very bottom, you take pictures, right? I would usually select multi if there's a multiple page that you're gonna take pictures of. Essentially, just take pictures. And so once you take pictures, it will ask you to convert each one into PDF, and then that's what essentially you turn in test-wise, right? So um, as far as your test is concerned, that's how you're going to end up um, essentially turning in some parts of your test. So some parts of your test are going to be sort of multiple choice, but quite a bit of it would be um, sort of show your work on the problem. So that's why you need the Clear Scanner app to do that. Okay. Prereqs for this course, depending on the assessment process, you should be essentially said that you are eligible to take Math 103. As far as what we're going to go over, we are going to talk about circular functions, De Moivre's theorem and applications. We are going to put some emphasis on your trig identities and solution to trig equations. If you are purchasing a used book, you may have to purchase, so sort of mentioned, your access code separately as an additional expense, right? So because you are going to need an access code to do your homework. Okay. The SLOs, which are student learning outcomes. So if you get a passing grade for this class, you should be able to do these four things. You should be able to identify and sketch the graphs of your trig functions, apply appropriate techniques to determine the six trig functions commonly used angles as appropriate for this course outline, techniques for solving trig equations and proving trig identities, as well as recognize, define, and use formal mathematical notations that are related to this course, right? So you have to be able to do those things if you get a passing grade for this class. The grading homework would be 10% of your grade. Again, we'll talk more about that in a bit. Participation would be 3% of your grade. Um, I think we'll have four tests. Okay, we'll see if we can actually have time to do all four. Um, if not, more likely we're going to have just three. But my goal is to have four tests, and then you'll have a cumulative final, which would be 33% of your grade. The grading scale is to the right. It's pretty standard, right? 90s is A, 80s is B, 70s is C, 60s is D. Anything below 60 is an F. Okay. Um, any questions so far? All right, so let's talk about participation, right? So keeping up is very important, especially when taking a class online. Do not wait until the last minute to finish any activities, homework, or watching any lectures. A lot of the topics in our class are related. Falling behind on one will severely hamper your understanding on a later topic, especially for our class. So like, for example, things that we're going to talk about in 5.3 is going to be used quite a bit um, throughout the class, and not just our class, in future classes as well. And so make sure you sort of do not fall behind on especially 5.3 topic. Okay. Um, for the duration of the class, you'll be asked to do activities on Canvas or another website to complete to go along with your lectures. That's why your lectures are not always going to be 2 hours long. Um, Participation on these activities would be 3% of your grade. Okay, so you'll actually have one right now on Canvas, which is sort of an icebreaker, something we would have done in class a little bit differently in class, but sort of in online, this is the way to do it. But essentially, you have an icebreaker activity available on Canvas, and we'll see that obviously today as well. Okay. Now there are 4 tests and 1 cumulative final. Missing an exam will result as a 0 for that exam. Tests will all be held during class times. So it will be from 10 a.m. to 12:20 p.m. Um, if you are a DSPS student, you're gonna have to let me know, right? So because we need to make some arrangements for you to take your test. I think still on campus, and so we're gonna have to talk about that privately, right? So if you do have special accommodations that needs to be met, make sure you let me know ahead of time. But for the most part, your test will be held during class time. So you have to be here from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Essentially, the test part will open at 10. Essentially, it closes at 12:20, and so you'll have that basically that much time to get everything done. It will still be done at home, right? So if you don't need any special accommodations, your test will still be done at home. So remotely, you can still do this in there in your comfort of your house. There will be typically 2 parts to your test. One that will be online, so that's more likely like a multiple choice or something where there isn't a lot of work or the work is not required to be shown. So it's more of just me checking to see if you got the correct answer or not. And so that's what you're going to see um, essentially on the online part. And there'll be another that's sort of in a like a Word form or a PDF form that you're going to sort of either print out or just view it on your computer and then show your work on a separate sheet of paper. And then you have to upload your work online. And this is what the scanner app is for. And so you're gonna take a picture of your work, turn it into a PDF file, and then probably upload it into Canvas. Um, and that would be what would be the second part of your test would be. Right? So questions on the test will be similar to the lecture problems, worksheets, homework, and study guides that will be provided to you throughout the semester. Okay. The final exam day is Wednesday, May 20th, right? So it's pretty much the last day, almost the last day of the semester. I think the last day is Thursday, but since we don't meet on Thursday, it would be on the Wednesday, May 20th, from 10 a.m. to 12:20 p.m. Everyone needs to take the final, regardless of how much points you have earned so far. If you do not show up for your final, you get an automatic F. Will be given if that happens, right? If you cannot make the final exam, it is the last day. You're gonna have to make a arrangement to take the final earlier, but not later than the day of the final exam. Okay. Homework. All homeworks are done online. So all your homeworks are done online, except for a couple of sections. There will be a couple of sections where work has to be shown um, because the work essentially is your answer to the problem. And so, so the work has to be shown on there, but everything else is done online. You will need to have a homework notebook or folder. Um, Treat it like a paper and pencil homework. Copy the problems on your notebook, except for complicated problems or complicated diagrams, and input your answer on the computer. Please pay attention to the due dates for your homework. They are typically due after a couple of days. We finish the lecture, right? Because I don't want you to fall behind. And so I'll usually give you a couple of days to actually work on that homework. Again, that way you're ready for the next class, right? So again, do not wait at the last minute to get your homeworks done. They are typically due, as I already mentioned, a couple of days. So for example, if we finish one section today, which I think we will, so that 5.1 homework will be due um, Wednesday, right? So um, again, depending on how many sections we finished and so on and so forth. But they are typically due a couple of days after we finish. So do not wait at the last minute to get them done. Okay. Lectures. So there will be a couple of options on how you will get lecture videos for your class. So one of them would be to use the videos on Pearson that coincides with the examples on the text. And again, I will show you how to do that um, when we sort of finish running through um, your syllabus. And then the other option would be basically what we're doing now is attend the live lecture on Zoom during class time, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 a.m. to 12:20 p.m. Link will be provided. It's basically the same link I sent you. You just use the same one pretty much over and over throughout the semester. So I'm not going to change the link. That way, it's the same one for the rest of the semester. Again, you should be aware on the campus policy on academic integrity as outlined in the current catalog or student handbook. Since most of our homeworks are done online, I do expect to see, or I expect you to have your book with you and your notes with you. And so that's, again, I cannot police that, right? So I can't really see if you're using them or not, which means I have to assume that you're using them, which means I should be okay with you using them um, while you're taking your test. Okay. Again, just keep in mind that you have to be ready in case that if we do come back to normal class, normally those tests are no books, no notes, right? So you should be able to do them by yourself. But since we're doing this remotely, um, I am, I guess, for now, okay with you using your book and your notes while you're taking your test. Okay. And that's why you have a second part to your test. That work needs to be shown because that will be sort of different as far as what you would have seen on your notes or on your textbook. So that's why we have a second part to your test. Okay. All right. Important dates. March 27th was the last day to add, which is pretty much past it already. The last day to drop is tomorrow without getting any grade. But the last day to drop in general to get a W is April 27th. And our final is May 20th at 10 a.m., which is basically, again, for now, remotely done unless we sort of come back to have a face-to-face class before the semester ends. Okay. The schedule, okay, is right here, right? So we're doing orientation today for the most part. If we have time, we'll do 5.1. We should finish all of chapter 5 by this Friday. That is sort of my goal. And chapter 5 is essentially what your first test is. And so that would be what we're doing on April 8th. But we are starting 6.1 on Monday, and then I'll probably, whatever time is left, um, we'll ask you to, or sort of see if you have any questions for your test on Wednesday next week. Um, Again, we're gonna probably stay up to pace to this one. So we should be able to finish everything pretty much until May 20th, right? So this is our tentative schedule for our class. Okay. Any questions on this? Um, so tests are two parts. They're still all online, but then some of them are actually online where you have to type it in, um, your answers on the computer. And there's a part of the test where you have to do it on a pad paper or a separate sheet of paper, because I will have to look at your work and then essentially scan it, and then turn it in online um, afterwards. So those would be the two parts to your test. For every test that we have. So for now, they're still all online, right? So you don't have to show up to class unless you need special accommodations. Um, and so special accommodations will have to be approved by DSPS. And then essentially you have to let me know um, what it is, right? So that way we can make arrangements for you to take the test at the DSPS center. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So let's go to Canvas next. Okay. All right. So right now, this is what I have, because this is what you see on Canvas, but this is not exactly how it looks on yours, because this is essentially the instructor sides. Okay. So let me go ahead and switch this to the student view. Okay. Which looks like this. Okay. All right. So this is how it looks. Okay. On yours without the purple pink screen at the bottom. Okay. But this is typically how or what you'll see on yours. Okay. All right. So there's a welcome letter on there. Okay. Um, All right, so there's a welcome letter that I already sent out to you. The syllabus that we went over is actually right here. And then the instructions on how to enroll in Pearson is also on here. By the way, you access this on the Crafton webpage, right? So if you go to Crafton, oops, the very first thing on there, they have the Canvas link on it. Okay, where, oh, leave student view. I didn't have to log into mine because I already had logged in. But this is what you see on yours, right? And then just click on the class. And then again, I have to change the view on this one. And so this is what you should see on your Canvas. So these are the only things that are visible for now. And then you'll have your how to enroll on Pearson on here. So some of you were asking over the break. Um, Oops, I should not have to download that one. Cancel. All right, so these are the instructions on how to sign in on there. So sign into Canvas, do one of the followings, select any person link on any module, or select the My Lab Mastering link on the course navigator, which is right here. Okay, and so once you follow that, okay. Mine though is because since I've already signed up, okay, I guess this is the problem with this one. Okay. Well, anyway, okay. So mine will just say open my lab, right? But the instructions should be pretty clear, okay, on there. So let me go back, okay, and go back to my instructions, okay. So the instructions are pretty straightforward, right? So enter your Pearson account username or password to link accounts. If you have an account before, so if you've used it before, you can use the same one. But if you don't have a Pearson account, you have to click on create. Okay. All right. So if you don't have a Pearson account, then you have to select on create, and then you have to follow the following direction. Um, it's going to ask you to select an access option. So if you already bought your textbook, then it should come with an access code on it, and then you just type in the access code yourself on there. If you want to click on, or if you don't have one and you want to buy one, you're going to need either a credit card or a PayPal, and then just click on buy now on there. And I think there are a couple of options. There's a sort of a full year option, and then there's the 18-week option. So it's up to you which one you want to buy. Keep in mind the 18 weeks is only good for 18 weeks. So if for any reason you have to drop the class somewhere sort of the middle of the semester and you have to retake it again, then those 18 weeks are going to expire. Now, with that said, I did hear that they are in a process or planning to maybe switch text. I don't know when that's going to happen. And so just keep in mind that if they did switch text, um, then the code might actually change as well, right? So keep that in mind. Um, so if you just want to buy the 18 weeks because it's cheaper, you certainly can do so. Um, but again, the typically the other better option would be to use the full year one, so that way it's good for a year. But as I sort of mentioned, I think they are in the process of sort of switching text because I think this edition is sort of old and they have a newer one that's coming out that they are sort of maybe forcing us to change as well. So just keep that in mind when purchasing your code. And then once you're done, go to my courses, and then you should be ready to sort of link your class into ours or into a sort of Canvas as a result. Okay. And so again, once you've sign up, you can just always click on this link and then sort of go here, and it will take you to the Pearson sort of web page. And again, user agreement, just accept and type in so username or password. Um, Maybe I can show you how to create one. So you can always create one, right? So RT Spring 2020 Math 103 at yahoo.com. And click on account, create account. Okay, and then these are the options, right? So if you already bought the access code, you just go over there. If you want to purchase one, these are the two options. So one of them is 105, and that's good for 2 years, actually, not just 1 year. The other one's only good for 18 weeks, right? So it's the 69.99. If you took 102 before, right, then just simply use your old username and password, and it would automatically have just added you to the class itself. Um, but if you are in sort of have to purchase some, you have to click on 69.99 or the 104.99 if you want to buy one. Now, if you don't have the money yet, right here at the very bottom, it says get temporary access without payment for 14 days. And so if you click on that, it will allow you access to our course, or at least the Pearson course, for 2 weeks. And by the way, this is the reason why I didn't let you register for Pearson early. Is because I don't want that 2 weeks to start until today, right? So at the very least, you'll have 2 weeks from today, or 14 days from today, to actually see your course. So you just click on Go to My Course, and it will take you straight to our sort of page. Okay. And this is what it looks on your course page, right? So right now it's empty. Um, there's really nothing there, but there are sort of like a lot of tabs on here. So assignments is where you are going to see your homeworks. Right now it says all past due, and the reason for that is because I copied this class from a different one, and so that means the due dates copied as well. And so that's why if you look at it, the due dates are like December 1st, 2019. It's because that was from last semester. Okay, so I will redo them, so don't worry, they're not going to be past due. Um, and so we'll redo. I'm going to redo the due dates for those. But this is where you're going to see your assignments. E-text is your textbook, right? So you click on e-text. You click on this one. By the way, always allow pop-ups for Pearson because you are going to see a lot of pop-ups on there. And so keep that in mind when they ask you, do you allow pop-ups? You say yes. Okay. Takes a while to load. Okay. But essentially, this is your textbook. And for the most part, we are covering, I think, 5, 6, 7, and 8 chapter wise. Okay. So we have 4 chapters to finish. Chapter 5 is pretty quick. I think there's only like 4 sections on it. Okay. And so this is your textbook. This is how it looks when you open the first, open your book. Um, so you can skip to a section on the side. And so trig functions, 5.1. Okay. I think it's stuck. Oh, there you go. And so this is how it looks on your textbook, right? So it won't let me touch the screen. Okay. All right. So this is what it looks. Okay. By the way, in sort of uh, purchasing this online, okay, and let me show you something real quick on a separate screen. So this is again my iPad. Okay. Okay. So on the iPad or the iOS, okay, there is an app. How am I going to show you this? It's not showing, but it says e-text on it. And so there's an app on there that will allow you um, to sort of have your textbook on your tablet if you choose to do so, right? So I actually have a lot of textbooks on here. And so e-text for any course that you have will allow you to have a copy on your tablet as long as the subscription is valid. Okay. So if you want, right, if you choose to do so, Okay, you can have your textbook on your iPad, and then you can have that while you are sort of viewing the lecture on Pearson, which I am going to show you where it is located on here. So let me close these. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. All right. So we've talked about e-text already. Email. Okay, is where you can actually send me an email, as well as actually some of your classmates can be emailed here as well. So this is where you do that. Document sharing is where I actually share documents to you, and you can see there's quite a bit of stuff already on there. And so you have your test one outline, sample questions for test one, test three outline, and so on and so forth. Okay, and um, so a lot of the study guides are already on there. And so if you want to sort of take a look at those, this is where you find them. Document sharing. Chapter contents is where you can actually see another part where your textbook is. And so if you want to jump into a certain chapter or section, you can do that there. But the other part that I do want you to see, so gradebook being the other, right? So this is where your current grades are located. Do not click on the grade book on Canvas, because I don't know how accurate that one would be, because it's the first time I'm actually using Canvas with Pearson. But if you want to see what your current grades are, it's going to be here on Pearson. But the other part that I do want you to see is this one, the multimedia library. So this is the other part or the other option for your lecture. And so suppose I want to look at 5.1, and I want to see whatever they have on 5.1. And so if you scroll down, so there's a PowerPoint you can view. There's the multimedia textbook, right? Essentially, the way it works is you read your textbook, and then if there's a video link on there, it will allow you to click on that link and sort of see the example. And let me show you what I mean by that. And so let's click on the multimedia textbook. Okay, so you basically opens your textbook for you. Okay, right. And so when you see this, it means there's a video. Um, I think this is 16 minutes, so I think it's for the full section. But you certainly can read through your textbook while they are sort of explaining each one. Let's actually click on that and show you what you are going to see on it. But this is the other place for your lecture on there. And so you might want to click on objective one. Okay. Okay. So that's an example of the video you are going to see on there. Okay. I don't know why it's not letting me use the touchscreen on this one. Right, so you can also see those on here as well. Right, so that video is actually divided into sections as well. So you can see right here, right, that's the first example you saw on there. So you can click on that, and then you can click on that to sort of see your work. Same thing here, right? So whenever you see those, basically those 16-minute videos are divided into each example on here. So essentially, you are reading your textbook, and then you can actually see each example sort of worked out for you, and that will sort of replace your lecture if you cannot show up at the 10 a.m. Zoom meeting. Right? Any questions on that? Let me close this. And so for the most part, this is it for your Pearson account, right? So your homework assignments are right here in assignments. Let me actually log into mine so I can actually change some of the due dates on there. And so let me close this and let me leave student view on Canvas and go back to my lab and mastering. I think it's going to take me to the same one. I hope it doesn't. So there's some questions in the chat. Yeah, if you go through Canvas, you don't need the course ID. The Zoom lectures are up to you. You either show up to the Zoom lecture or you watch the video that I just showed you that's sort of corresponds to your section. Okay, so those are the two options for your lectures. So you either attend the Zoom lecture or use the textbook and the videos online on Pearson if that's the one you want. Okay, so it's up to you which one you want to use. Okay, I will post something that I know that will be helpful because it's not used on your textbook. So if I do that, you'll get a link for it because there's a certain thing that I use that your textbook doesn't show you. And so I will sort of put that video online for you to actually view on there. But otherwise, if you cannot attend the Zoom lectures, then you have to go just watch the videos on Pearson. Okay. All right. So this is now the instructor home. Okay. So let me go to my side of things. So course tools, assignment manager. So let me select everything and apply to selected. I know there's a question real quick. Let me just finish this one. Okay, so that way your homework assignments are set up. All right. So if you click on assignments now, okay, nothing should say past due anymore. There's only one section that's open, which is 5.1, which I think we should finish today. Okay. Yes, the test have to be taken at 10 a.m. So it should open during class time. So it's from 10 a.m. to 12:20. Again, unless you are taking it, special accommodations need to be given, and that will be up to DSPS. But for now, the test would be during class time. Okay. Now the take-home part, I haven't, or the written part, the one you have to scan. I have to look more into what's going to be part of it, but for the most part, you should be able to do them in the time sort of given. Okay. So it's not an infinite number of time. So you don't have all day to finish everything. So you have to be able to still do them um, during class times. Okay. Any other questions? All right, so I think that is the end for the orientation. Okay. Again, we're gonna do 5.1 next as the first lecture. But I'm gonna stop the video now, or the recording. Recording again. Okay. Going back to Canvas. Okay. So let me change the view again real quick. Go home. Okay. Student view. Oops. Student view. All right. So this is what it looks on yours. So right here on the side, you can see to-do list. So one of them is the link to lecture and office hours. And again, that link never changes. The icebreaker assignment, it's really an icebreaker in-class assignment. So it's something that I expect you, or we should have done in class, sort of as a separate activity. And so again, that's where you are gonna see it. But the other thing on here is right here under discussions. Okay. So there is a pin discussion right here where it says, "Hey, professor." Okay. So this allows you to ask questions that me or maybe your classmate actually know the answer to. So these are more generic questions. So for example, when is 5-point homework due? Okay, and then if either I can answer it or your classmate can answer it, or if you have a question of when's our first test, right? Um, so when will our first test going to be? So you can actually leave that sort of questions on here. Again, there are sort of some guidelines. Don't post any grade questions on here, right? So do not post your grades on here. So if you have any questions about your grade, you're gonna have to send me a private message, right? And so, but here is sort of where you can leave sort of class questions on here. Okay, and so you can do that on here, and it's always available under discussion in the Hey Professor tab on there. Now, there are other discussions that's going to be open here, and I think one of them is the icebreaker sort of discussion assignment kind of deal. The reason there's a due date on it, it's because this essentially replaces the attendance for today, right? Because not everyone can actually show up during the live lecture, okay? And so the icebreaker is uh, where you can see the sort of the first discussion kind of thing, right? So this is a graded discussion. 10 points. Don't worry about the grades. The 10 points really is just for me to make sure I keep track on who actually did it. Um, but if you did everything on there, there's no way you can't get 10 points on it. Okay. Yes. Yes. Basically, I did not take attendance, and so this will replace the attendance part. And it's an in-class activity as well. So we would have done an icebreaker in class regardless. And so this just replaces that one. And that's one of the reasons why um, our lectures are not always 2 hours long. So even though we technically end 12:20, my lecture is not going to end at 12:20, so it might actually end earlier than that. Is because you'll have an activity that you might have to do on Canvas. So so you do have to do the icebreaker one, regardless if you're in the live lecture or not.
So are you gonna like post that after this
It's already
after
there.
today?
It should be available
Uh
already.
oh, okay. But it just
So
says like it just says that. Like how do we do that? Like where it says unpublished.
what? It should have been published already. Okay, let me leave student view real quick. Should have been published already. Hey, it says published.
Like, yeah, it shows that, but like, there's nothing. Like, how do we do that? Like, it shows nothing in it. Like, do we write?
If you click
Oh,
on,
yeah, it doesn't show that for us.
it does it?
No,
Okay,
unless I'll have to check again, but no.
let me click it. Let me go to student view again.
Yeah, that's all it shows. This topic is part of an unpublished module.
What? Okay. I will have to go leave student view. It says published. Let's see. Oh. Okay. I think I know. All right. So try it now. See if it works.
Yep, that was it. It's
Okay.
there now.
All right. There you go.
Thank you.
All right. It should work now. All right. So, so there's a question in the chat. So it should work now. I think the module was not published where I sort of put that in. I think I should have put that in the welcome part. Okay, but anyway, it should be working now. See if you click on icebreaker, right? And really just more on using Canvas and doing discussions on here. Okay, I may have a separate discussion for homework problems, and so just keep that in mind. Or homework questions, not homework problems, homework questions. And so you can post your questions on there. Um, all right, but this should be working now. Okay. Again, there's grades on here, but don't click on that, right? So that has nothing to do with the grades that are on Pearson. At least I haven't synced it, and I don't really want to because there are going to be grades on here that are not part of the Pearson one, and so I don't want to sort of mix them up together. Okay, let me put this.